Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Leaves Konoha and Awakens Lava and Boil Release, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Kirigakure. Streets. Naruto ran through the abandoned streets of Kiri with his heart ringing in his ears. The panic of the sheer size of the situation was getting to him. He observed from the city's disheveled look that the bloodline users had been literally dragged from their homes, with a fight often, and taken somewhere. The blonde especially hoped that he was correct, that it was to the city center, because if he was wrong, it could cost them thousands of lives. How could the people do this? I was sure that Mei's reign had proven that the Uzumaki were friends to Kiri, not enemies. What will we do now? Speaking of Mei, Naruto looked over his shoulder to take a quick glance towards his fiancée. She had been taking this especially hard because of the amount of time and effort she had spent on gaining the people of Kiri's trust, only to have it all be thrust back into her face. Naruto turned to see Chojuro keeping pace even with his large sword out. The boy had a look of determination Naruto had not seen since his training with the older boy. Chojuro. The boy looked at Naruto curiously from his outburst. I know you want to help us find the bloodline users, but I have a different mission. It's just as important. The blue-haired boy seemed curious about the new mission and nodded for the boy to go on. What mission, Naruto? Mei listened in as well, curious about the mission and also proud her Naruto was taking charge of the situation. I need you to gather as many loyal shinobi as you can and bring them to the square to support us. We have to know who is on our side, or else we will just BK each other senselessly. Chojuro pondered it for a moment before he smiled and nodded, jumping onto a roof that veered off to their left. Don't worry, Naruto, Mizukage-sama, I'll go get help. Good luck. Good luck, Chojuro. Mei called out in support of the boy. Hurry, Chojuro. Naruto urged him on as he left their sight. It was night time and very dark that night. Do you think he will really find help, Naruto? I mean, if it really has gotten this bad, can there really be any loyalists left? Naruto slowed his run so that he was next to Mei and gave her an encouraging smile, one that threatened to spread to her face as well. We must have faith that our friends still believe in us. I think that it really must have been the civilians that were aroused by Kyo's apparent speeches instead of the shinobi. It'll be fine, Mei-hime, you'll see. Naruto's soft voice reached her ears and reassured her. She grabbed his hand and interlocked their fingers. Promise me that we will get out alive with the Uzumaki, Naruto. I don't think I can stay here any longer even if I was welcomed. I want to go home. Naruto's face was one of shock. She really wanted to go back to Izu. Mei, do you really mean that? I mean, you have lived here since the dissolving of Izu. Are you sure you don't want to fight for Kiri any longer? Mei merely shook her head, a smile gracing her features. I tried so hard to gain the people's trust, to show them that an Uzumaki wasn't always an evil person. It appears now that I have failed. They are just as impressionable as when Madara was still in power. I think it's time we bring our people home, don't you think? Who knows? Maybe I could be calling you Mizukage-sama soon. Naruto's surprise was soon replaced with a warm smile and he squeezed her hand and kissed her cheek as they continued to run to their destination. I think it's a wonderful idea, Mei-hime. Now, we just have to hope they will come with us instead of us here for a place that no longer cares about them. The two picked up the pace to reach the city center, to which they were nearing quickly. They were in for a shock by what they saw. 000. Kirigakure. City center. Kyo stood on a raised platform overlooking the large square where there was quite a crowd before him. Ninja loyal to him stood on rooftops or corners of the square, safely hidden in the shadows until they were needed. He had just finished giving yet another rousing speech with the announcement that the final guests had arrived and were heading their way now. The vast majority that stood before him were not the angry and disgruntled citizens he had for support. Instead, they were mostly bloodline users that were isolated in the center of the square. They were bound with their hands and feet tied and all were facing Kyo as he prepared to give them the death sentence. They too stood on a raised platform made completely of wood. Citizens with torches stood by to light the extremely flammable straw and wood to burn the bloodline users. Just have to wait a little longer for the final two to arrive. Naruto and Mei Uzumaki. You have underestimated me for the last time. Kyo thought with a triumphant smirk. His plan was foolproof. He was soon rewarded with the two shinobi's arrival at the southern entrance, and he began to clap for their presence. This brought attention to him and then to the place where he was looking. A silence was brought onto the crowd as they observed Mei and Naruto run into the center of the square to see what had been done. Their eyes widened when they saw the hundreds of bloodline users in neat rows and all tied together. Even the children were present amongst them as they waited to s. Upon their arrival, the vast majority of the bloodline users did not cringe at those who had apparently gotten them into the mess but smiled. Almost all Uzumaki descendants knew the truth behind the Mizukage and her fiancé and knew what Kyo said was not true. Mei and Naruto were there to rescue them. A loud cheer began to arise from the bloodline users. Mizukage-sama. Mizukage-sama. Help us. The people have gone mad. You must do something. One of the great swordsmen have arrived. We are saved. Naruto and Mei felt a rush of confidence as the people cheered the names and focused their attention on the threat that was Kyo. The man had finished his clapping and instead settled for smiling in the direction, something that made both very angry at him for his gall. Mizukage-sama, Naruto, so nice to have you back in the village. I hope the Cage Summit was productive. We have made so much progress here as you can see. Now if you would so kindly join your compatriots on the platform, it would be much appreciated. He made fun of them with his sarcastic tone and practically begged for them to defy his order. Kyo, what is the meaning of this? You should be in jail for the grounds of. Mei was interrupted by an annoyed Kyo. He was not going to allow her to badmouth him in front of so many people. I should be in jail for what? Because I spoke out against you. Because I pointed out real flaws in your little plan for Uzumaki dominance. No, I should be hailed as a hero. The people of Kiri can see this, why can't you? Mei and Naruto both were shocked at this man's audacity and how much he had clouded the people's judgment. The angry civilians looked to their new Mizukage for support and orders and found him to be looking at them all with a reassuring smile. I know you have all waited so long to rid yourself of the Uzumaki and the bloodline users. He looked into all their shimmering eyes, smiling at how his plan was now coming to a head. You may fulfill that wish now, set fire to those who dilute us. Those whose be only brings pain and suffering. The citizenry all smiled and threw their torches onto the pyre, bringing the flames to come alive within the straw. Naruto and Mei watched in horror as the people on the platform began to squirm for escape and knew they had to do something. Just as they were about to do a water jutsu to put out the fire, the rebel Kiri shinobi leaped down and enacted their final trick. Going through multiple hand signs simultaneously, over a dozen of the masked shinobi s their hands into the ground and erected a purple barrier around the cage-level shinobi. Multiple infinite embrace. Naruto and Mei felt their chakra being absorbed by the strange barrier, their strength being sapped away. Every moment that passed by, more weight of gravity was increased on them, bringing Mei and soon enough Naruto to their knees. Mei couldn't take the excruciating pain for long and let out a loud scream. The shriek brought much terror to the Uzumaki and her fiancé. Mei. Naruto crawled closer to her and held her hand for support, barely fighting against the force pressing against him. He knew he had to do something and fast, or else Mei wouldn't last long with the force being exuded against them. Just as he was thinking of a way out of the predicament, he felt Mei's hand squeeze his own lightly and he looked down to see her face. She wore a smile that was hampered by the pain that crossed her face. It was a scene Naruto could not bear to see. Naruto, save them. Save the bloodlines. You must, hurry. Her raspy voice barely came to his ears. The sheer gravitational weight had effectively made it hard for her to take breaths and she was losing sight fast. Stay with me, Mei. You have to stay awake. She merely smiled as she slowly closed her eyes and allowed sleep to envelop her, possibly for the last time. Please, Naruto. You are the only one who can do it. The only one that can win. Her last thoughts were of hope for her fiancé before she sickbed to unconsciousness. Naruto looked at her body that was pressed against the ground. Her hand no longer had any strength on his and it fell limp to the ground. His face went from shock and fear to complete and utter hatred for the shinobi before him, all culminating in the man that stood smiling on the platform in front of him. No. You took her away. You took her away from me, my love, my fiancé. I'll kill them. I'll kill them all. Naruto let out a mighty roar as his emotions led to Kyuubi's chakra to rush through him and engulf him in a cloak of 5 tails. No longer did the Kyuubi reign supreme over his emotions as he did in Naruto's youth. It was now Naruto that was willingly calling on the fox's chakra to bring ruin on his enemies. The rebel shinobi passed glances amongst each other fearfully. They were terrified of the transformation that was happening before them. You K her. I'll K you all. Naruto let out one last mighty roar before sending a demon-enhanced punch right through the purple wall before him, shattering it in a single attack. The shinobi looked like they were prepared to fight him before he brought up his claws and right through a man's midsection, leading him to fall apart at the waist. Some attempted to run but were soon crushed by a chakra fist or tail launched from the cloak. None would escape. One attempted to him with his kunai only for the weapon to be blocked by the cloak. The man struggled for a moment to attempt to push deeper before Naruto turned to face him and gathered up both chakra and his own bi for an attack. Fearful, the man dropped his kunai and ran only to hear Naruto say the jutsu's name. Tailed beast power, menacing ball. The large ball soon transformed into a beam of white light that enveloped the man and the buildings behind him, engulfing them in an epic explosion that decimated that part of town. The citizens that had been humbly watching their enemies burn were now running in fear of the monster that really had no wish to hurt them at all. Remembering Mei's final request to him, Naruto gathered up chakra and went through a succession of hand signs. Water release, great waterfall. A large amount of water appeared over Naruto's head in the form of a flood and doused the flames on the large square platform. While many would have some sort of burns, the entirety of the bloodline uses had been saved by Naruto's quick save. Focusing his attention now on the platform, Naruto now saw with horror that Kyo had taken a hostage. Mei. No. The woman was awake but groggy, still recovering from the loss of such a high amount of chakra. Kyo held her by the waist with a kunai to her tea. He was eyeing Naruto dangerously. Step back or else your precious fiancé. Take that damn cloak off too, you bastard Jinchuriki. Knowing he had little choice, Naruto backed up a few steps and disabled his cloak. With the boy's features now returning to normal, Kyo now had the chance to K both the problems with one fell swoop. Naruto saw Kyo's muscles tense and moved to his thigh for a 3-pronged kunai, hoping he wasn't too late. Kyo began to slide the kunai across the cage's end, releasing a large amount of liquid from her body at once. Naruto's eyes quivered for a moment as he watched the true death of his fiancée in front of his eyes, not truly believing what he was witnessing. Then, he noticed something and wanted to smile at her actions. The Mei in front of him was not B, but releasing water. What the hell? A water clone. Kyo had apparently noticed too but not quick enough as Naruto quickly appeared to his right and Mei to his left. Boil release, mist vortex. Naruto and Mei both released a large amount of acidic mist but moved their hands around to slowly form the almost invisible substance into a raging vortex. Boil release combined with shape manipulation. Impossible. Kyo's eyes widened at their attack. He had never seen an Uzumaki do this before. Kyo was powerless as he was stuck in the middle of the acidic mist maelstrom, unable to do anything but scream in agony as his skin melted away. Naruto and Mei finished the attack by suddenly stopping their jutsu and sending a burned Kyo up into the air before they began their final attack. Naruto held up one hand and began to focus his chakra into a swirling ball. Soon enough a blue Rasengan had formed. He placed the other hand above it and began to feed his lava element into the equation, further enhanced by Mei laying her hand over his and sending chakra through to the growing sphere. The Rasengan quickly transformed from blue to a dark crimson. The chunky jello of lava swished and swirled in the rotation that remained and had a low gravely whine. Naruto launched himself into the air with Mei's help and met Kyo's torso with the attack, yelling out its name with finality to the death of an arch-traitor. Lava release, magma Rasengan. The ball impacted the man's stomach and began to melt his entire body into the swirling mass, leaving nothing behind as Naruto fell back down to earth. He landed with a thump, and could barely stand after using so much chakra so quickly. Mei moved to support him. He looked at her with tears practically falling out of his eyes. Mei was concerned as to why he was so worried. Naruto, are you? She was stopped from further talk as Naruto his lips to hers, instantly making Mei forget about their surroundings and place her arms around his N. Naruto broke the K only to plant more and more like K all over her face, leading her to giggle and push him away a bit. Naruto, what has gotten into you? Naruto merely smiled at hearing her playful, flirty voice fill his thoughts again. For a time he had thought he would no longer hear it. I thought you had S. Back in the chakra barrier, I almost lost control because I thought you S. May's smile disappeared when she heard this and rubbed his cheek with her hand, a sign of comfort from her. You know that I'm stronger than that, Naruto. I only lost consciousness from the pressure, that was all. Now come on, we still have to save these people. Naruto smiled and nodded. They moved to the pyre and began work on freeing everyone. Multi-shadow clone. Dozens of Naruto clones appeared and began to work on the bloodline uses bonds, quickly freeing the mass of people. Naruto and May stood before those gathered. The entirety of the betrayed Kiri civilians stood before them now. The small children huddled to their mothers and fathers in fear of the others. The parents just smiled and told their children everything would be all right. Don't worry, darling, that's the Mizukage and her bodyguard. They will protect us. The Mizukage is with us, Shiro, don't worry about anything. You see that man there? He is one of the legendary swordsmen of the village. Everything will be all right with him here. Naruto and May listened in on their whispers of comfort. The children's eyes wandered towards them and shined in wonder. May cleared her tea to gain attention from the crowd and allowed her leadership abilities to take over. I'm glad we could rescue you all in time. My fiancé and I are going to get you all outside of Kiri, and from then on, it will be your choice whether you wish to follow us or not. My other bodyguard has been sent to find more loyal shinobi. We will wait here until they arrive. The Uzumaki looked amongst themselves, curious as to where the two were headed. Mizukage-sama, where are you headed after we leave Kiri? She heard someone call out. She smiled and took the Mizukage hat from her waist where it had been tied. I am no longer the Mizukage. She dropped her hat on the ground to be left there, eliciting numerous gasps from the crowd. She merely continued to smile as she glanced at Naruto. We have decided it's time to head home, to raise our children where they belong. Naruto and I are going to live in Azugakure. If hearing the Mizukage step down from her position was surprising, hearing the resurrection of their old home took the cake. What? But I thought we were forbidden to resettle Azu. Why would we go back to that island? Are you really going to walk away from Kiri, May-sama? May smiled as she looked towards Naruto and moved closer towards him, interlocking their fingers as a show of their love. The people's eyes softened. Their leader was truly happy being with the man she loved so very much. I no longer wish to be a leader. I only wish to be a good wife and an even better mom. May rubbed her belly lovingly as the people gathered gasped again. Their Mizukage was pregnant. Wow. I can't believe it. Good for you, May-sama. Naruto gripped her by the waist tightly and held her close, allowing May to snuggle into his shoulder and bask in the applause they were receiving. Naruto cleared his tea to speak next and the people quieted down. Now that you all know our intentions, it is best to decide where you will go now. We don't want you to feel obligated to come with us because really we don't expect any of the Uzumaki here to wish to reform the clan. I will tell you though that in our absence, our old friends the lava monkeys have been reconstructing Azu and waiting for our return. But in the end, whether you wish to stay or go is up to you. Now I think it's about time we. Naruto was interrupted by a loud gush of air coming from behind him and came face to face with dozens of shuriken headed straight for the crowd. Thinking quickly, the two cage-level Uzumaki combined their Kekkei Genkai into a stronger technique to block the attack. Lava release, lava wall. The bloodline users watched in amazement as their old Kekkei Genkai was harnessed, something they had nearly given up on using for the past 30 years. As the wall crumbled, Naruto and May came face to face with at least a dozen enemy shinobi. Their Kiri headbands with S through them showed the true colors, rebels to the current Mizukage. I think that is enough of your taint of our land. The time for your death is now. One of them shouted as they began to go through hand signs for an attack. Naruto and May knew it would be difficult to protect the civilians while they fought. They had to weigh their options carefully on how to proceed. It looked as though the shinobi before them would give them no chance as they charged forward with the intent to kill the bloodline users. Readying themselves for battle, Naruto and May relaxed when they heard a familiar voice break through the silence of the tension. Hiramekare unleashed. The Kiri shinobi stopped their charge when they heard the attack name and turned to face the oncoming jutsu. A large anvil had taken shape around Chojiro's sword and S into the enemy shinobi, scrambling them across the battlefield. Numerous other shadows sprouted from the darkness behind Chojuro and moved to finish off the ailing rebels, K them without remorse as they lay wounded on the ground. Chojuro, Naruto and Mei called out, never so glad to see their friend arrive right at the nick of time. The boy scratched his head in embarrassment from all the attention and walked over to the two. He. Looks like I made right in time. I think. Naruto smiled and patted the blue-haired boy on the shoulder, he was too bashful for his own good. We couldn't have done it without you, Chojuro. Mei took notice of the dozens of other Kiri shinobi standing behind Chojuro, she even thought she spied out amongst them. Are these the loyalists, Chojuro? The boy nodded and stepped aside for her to view them. She was somewhat disappointed by the number compared to the hundreds of battle-ready shinobi she once had. Ao stepped forward and bowed to her, still not knowing she had renounced her place as their leader. Mizukage-sama, I tried my best but it seems Kyo was able to gain the people's favor while you were away. When they decided to strike tonight, they also attacked key military strong points against us that remained loyal. The surprise raids cost us dearly, nearly 50% were K while another 10% rebelled to their side during the fighting. We are all that is left. Ao looked down in shame, he was not able to serve her as well as he had thought. Mei merely smiled and patted the man on the shoulder, raising her voice so that all could hear. It's alright Ao, you tried your best. I'm proud all of you were able to survive and have decided to stay on my side, but I have news that may disturb you. I am stepping down from my position as Mizukage in favor of leaving with my fiancée to live in Azugakure. The Kiri shinobi went wide-eyed, their Mizukage was leaving them. No. Why Mizukage-sama? We need you to fight with us so we can win. Mei chuckled and patted her stomach again, bringing attention to it from the shinobi gathered. Now would you still ask me to fight if you knew I was pregnant? With Naruto's child. I merely wish to get married and live life with my husband and children in a place that is safe. Naruto has promised that we will live peacefully in a zoo and I trust him with my life. I cannot ask you all to come with me, for that would be selfish of myself to think that all of you would wish to join us. I also know that some of you may have family here that turned against me, further reasoning for you to stay. Please know that neither Naruto or I hold anything against you, now I believe it's time we leave this place. Mei and Naruto waved for everyone to follow and began to quickly move through the city and right out the front gate with little resistance. A few shinobi elected to stay behind and set up a resistance movement as the rest decided to head to Azugakure with the Uzumaki. The bloodline users also decided to join in the mass exodus to Azu. They were enthralled by Naruto and Mei's talk of peace and prosperity there and wished to see its beauty for themselves. They all boarded boats and set sail for the isle that was just a few hundred miles across the ocean from Kiri. The journey would only take them a few days. Naruto and Mei stood on the deck of one of the transport ships, reflecting on the long day as they stared up into the full moon. It brought a strange calm over them, leaving their thoughts to wander from the present to the future and what it would bring for them and their clan. They looked at one another with love pouring out of their eyes. The couple shared a K under the moon. It was passionate for they knew that whatever would happen, their love would never change. 000. Kirigakure. Madara and company arrived just as the Uzumaki left the square. The Akatsuki had observed the fights and rescue of all the bloodline users and found it quite amusing to see the exodus of the clans as they turned tail and ran. Madara looked over to the stage where Kyo once stood. Now only ashes remained for the people of Kiri to look at as a leader of the so-called rebellion. Madara then spotted something on the ground that brought a conniving smile to his lips. He walked slowly over to the object and picked it up, dusting off any rock or soot that had gotten onto its regal features. The old Mizukage then placed the cage hat over his head. A feeling of euphoria enveloped him as he remembered his days as third Mizukage. The feeling of power, respect, and the ability to rule over a village with an iron fist brought him a sense of confidence in his plans and elation to his esteem as he walked towards the ruined Mizukage suite. He hummed a quiet tune as he was followed by his entourage of shinobi, the smile never leaving his masked face. Happy birthday to me. Hello Kirigakure, I'm back. With the power vacuum opened once again with Kyo's death, Madara was ready to take up the throne of the Rokudai Mizukage himself. He would then have his army and his village back. The next step was the world and decay the meddling Uzumaki before they could become any stronger. 000. Time skip, 3 days later. Azu Island. Shores. Naruto and Mei's refugee group settled their boats on the white sand, allowing the natural barrier to be the wooden contraption's anchor. The older Uzumaki looked around forlornly, as if memories of their childhood days living there were now resurfacing. The children reacted in wonderment to the signs of wildlife and the tropical forest. They had never seen such things before. Chojuro came up along with an entourage of Kiri shinobi to Naruto and Mei, who were standing at the treeline of the forest. Naruto-koi, are you sure you can find the way? Naruto nodded. He remembered his way thanks to what Yamara had told him the first time he had visited. Yep, I can lead us there, shouldn't take us too long either. Mei turned to notice Chojuro and smiled at the younger ninja. He did the same to her. Yes, Chojuro. Is everyone all right? We were in a bit of a rush to leave and many were unable to get all their belongings. The boy merely shook his head. The people had surprisingly not complained as much as they had been expected to. It's not that Mei-sama, we were just wondering. Are we still a part of the alliance with the other villages? Naruto and Mei looked at each other with doubt. Now that she had been ousted, Kiri technically did not stand within the alliance. No, Chojuro, we are no longer a Kiri fighting force, so we are not in the alliance. However, if we decide to start up a village here, namely Azugakure, then maybe we could reapply for a seat in the joint shinobi force when we are ready. The men shifted uncomfortably, not used to being leaderless in an unknown land. I was just asking because, well, everyone wanted to know who was in charge. We all look to you for guidance, but now that you are not the Mizukage, we wish to know who the leader is. Mei smirked and turned towards Naruto, who had a good idea of what she was thinking. Well, my husband-to-be here is my leader. I'm not sure if you are willing to follow him or not, but if you give him your support, we may call him the Azukage. That is, if you are willing to serve Azugakure as you did Kiri. The men looked amongst themselves in indecision. The choice was a difficult one. While they trusted Mei and Naruto, to let go of their home was a difficult thing. They knew little to nothing about the Uzumaki or the island and did not know how well they would fit in. The conversation had been announced to the people as well, and many of the Uzumaki came up and smiled to the couple. We are willing to follow Naruto-san if he truly wishes to lead us. His accomplishments have been lauded amongst both Uzumaki and Kiri citizen alike, and his knowledge of this island and our customs is second only to yours, Mizukage. Many of the men gathered here still have access to their bloodline, as do some women. I'm sure if an Uzumaki was to lead us, they would be willing to enlist in the village again. Everything was going so fast for them, they wanted him to be leader. The Shodai Azukage. Now wait a minute everyone, I'm not leader material. I have no leadership capability like Mei does. How can I be a leader of a village? Mei smiled, rubbing his cheek with her hand in an attempt to comfort him. Don't worry Naru-koi, you forget that I am willing to help you in your duties until you get a hang of them. The people here trust you with their lives since you saved them. I have trusted you with my life since I first met you. The shinobi here honor and respect you. We stand united beneath your leadership, Naruto. Your influence is greater than you think. We support you all the way, right? She turned around to see the citizens and shinobi bow to Naruto and Mei, something that shocked them both. The citizens raised their arms in praise and shouted at the tops of their lungs in celebration. The young children clapped and clapped for the two still standing, not really sure what to make of the party going on. Shodai Azukage. Naruto Uzumaki. Shodai Azukage. Hooray for Azu. The Uzumaki have returned. Naruto couldn't believe what was going on in front of him. The people, they wanted him to lead. He would be a Kage, not the Hokage like he always thought in his youth, but the Azukage, something that sounded even better now. But he was still unsure, so he held up his hands for quiet. The people noticed and lowered their shouts to mere whispers. I don't know what to say. Thank you all for your support. I'm still not sure I'm the right choice. But I will do my best if it truly comes to me being the leader of you all. Naruto took a bow in front of them all, shocking them with his modesty and level of respect to the people before him. Now let's not worry about this for now, we need to go see our new homes. The people cheered as Naruto led them into the jungle. Their worries had been allayed by their new leader with such a simple speech and bow. The future was uncertain for the people of Azu, but they had an ambitious goal and the comings of a great leader in the shape of Naruto Uzumaki. He was the true rebirth of the Uzumaki, their leader had returned. 000. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.